I used to think worry meant love. When my wife Claire said she was worried about me, my stress, my health, my long work hours, it sounded caring. I believed her concern came from affection. I had no idea those same words would later echo in my mind as the cruelest irony imaginable. For months I had been feeling off, tired, dizzy, and emotionally drained. I brushed it off as overwork. Claire would say, "You've been pushing yourself too hard, James. Please slow down." Her tone was gentle, her touch soft, her smile reassuring. She'd make tea for me, insist I rest more, even take my phone so I wouldn't be disturbed. First it felt like love. It felt like someone watching over me. But as time went on, something didn't sit right. Her concern became controlling. She started keeping track of what I ate, when I slept, even how often I left the house. She'd insist on cooking all my meals, claiming she wanted to make sure I stayed healthy. When I mentioned grabbing lunch at work, she'd tense up and say, "No, I'll make something for you. It's safer." I thought it was sweet. I thought she just cared too much. One night, I woke up to find her phone lighting up beside her on the bed. The name flashing on the screen wasn't familiar. The message preview read, "It's working. He's getting weaker." First I froze. My heartbeat pounded so hard I thought I might pass out. I wanted to believe it was some twisted joke, some misunderstanding. But curiosity and fear drove me. I unlocked her phone and started scrolling. What I found made my blood run cold. There were dozens of messages, months of conversation. Her R wasn't some random friend. He was her ex. They'd been talking behind my back, plotting in a way that made my stomach turn. She wrote about my declining health, how I wouldn't last long if things kept going this way. He replied things like, "Perfect. Just keep him on your meals." Suddenly, every sweet gesture, every worried glance, every cup of tea she brought me at night, all of it twisted into something sinister. My mind reeled as I realized she wasn't worried for me. She was worried I'd figure out what she was doing. The next morning I acted calm, though inside I was anything but. I had to understand the full extent of what Claire was planning. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed evidence, clarity, and a way to protect myself. Every smile she gave me, every word of concern, now felt like a carefully rehearsed act. The woman I thought I knew, the one who worried about me, cared for me, was a stranger hiding a deadly agenda behind sweet words and soft touches. Over the following days I kept my distance, observing her interactions, her phone habits, her subtle shifts in behavior. Claire didn't suspect that I knew. She continued bringing me meals, fussing over my health, and texting me reminders to rest. But behind the scenes, her secret conversations with her ex continued. They spoke about manipulating my medications, encouraging fatigue, even sabotaging small routines that kept me healthy. The thought made me sick, but I had to stay composed. I had to see how far she was willing to go before taking action. One evening, she mentioned my upcoming annual checkup. "You need to get tested," she said, her eyes wide with concern. She placed her hand on my shoulder, her voice trembling slightly. I nodded, pretending to agree. In truth, I had already scheduled the appointment, ensuring that everything was monitored closely. I needed proof that her intentions were real, and that I could protect myself legally and medically if things escalated. By the third week, I had gathered enough screenshots and logs of her secret messages. The sheer audacity of it all stunned me. Claire, the woman I had married, whose concern I had trusted implicitly, had been plotting my harm in tiny, insidious ways. She even laughed about my exhaustion in messages, calling it progress toward her twisted goal. Every cup of tea, every gentle word, every "I'm worried about you," was now a weapon she wielded with precision. I decided to confront her, but carefully. I didn't want to fight. I wanted clarity and explanation, a chance to see whether the woman I knew existed at all, or if she was gone entirely. That night I brought her to the living room, my phone on the table, logged in and ready. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I let the evidence speak for itself. As I scrolled through the messages, her face changed from amusement to confusion, then shock and finally horror. She realized that the little game she had been playing had been uncovered completely. And yet, even in that moment, she tried to charm her way out. "It's not what it looks like," she stammered, her hands trembling. But I could see through it. I had learned something crucial over the past weeks. Actions always reveal truth, and the moment of reckoning cannot be avoided. Claire's attempts to explain, to charm, to twist the story fell flat. The evidence was undeniable. Every screenshot, every message, every plan she had whispered in secret painted a clear picture of betrayal and intent. I stayed calm, letting her face the reality she had tried so hard to conceal. There was no yelling, no dramatic confrontation, just the undeniable truth laid bare in front of her eyes. For the first time in months, Claire was silent. The playful smirk she often wore vanished entirely. Her hands shook as she tried to reach for her phone, perhaps to delete the messages, perhaps to salvage something. But it was too late. The evidence had already spoken, and there was no undoing what had been revealed. Her secret, the deadly intention behind her words, had been exposed, and in that moment, I realized the depth of deception I had been living with. I took a deep breath, knowing the next steps had to be deliberate and calculated. Confrontation alone wasn't enough. I needed to secure my safety, my health, and my life, while ensuring that the truth could be used to protect me if things escalated further. I documented everything, backed up the messages, and made copies. I contacted authorities and legal counsel, not out of vengeance but as a precaution, an acknowledgement that betrayal at this level carries real consequences. Over the following days, Claire's behavior shifted dramatically. The confidence she had wielded so effortlessly melted into a quiet, tense awareness. She no longer tried to feign worry or control my actions. Every gesture, every word was measured, cautious, almost fearful. The power dynamic had shifted irrevocably, and I could see that she understood the gravity of her actions in a way she hadn't before. In the weeks that followed, I focused on rebuilding boundaries and reclaiming trust in my own life. I remained cautious but determined, aware that deception can take many forms, and that vigilance is necessary to protect oneself. Claire's hidden intentions had been revealed, and the lesson was clear. Words of concern, no matter how gentle, can mask intentions far darker than anyone expects. By the end of this ordeal, I realized that the most dangerous betrayals are not always obvious. They often hide behind love, care, and concern, cloaked in gestures that seem benign. But when the truth surfaces, the shock is undeniable, and the consequences are unavoidable. Claire had wanted me weakened, perhaps even gone, but the exposure of her secret, the undeniable proof of her intent, ensured that her plan failed completely. That night and every moment after served as a reminder. Trust must be earned, vigilance is essential, and deception, even from those closest to you, can strike when you least expect it. Her words of worry had been poisoned, but the truth had emerged unshakable, securing my life and my future against her hidden intentions.